Hello, everybody. This is Ortega Valencia.
And this is Ortega.
We are sharing with you our thoughts about decolonization. Our video is called Rethinking Decolonization. We would like to begin with a quote from Silvia Rivera Cusicanqui, Bolivian Aymara scholar. She says, "Decoloniality is a fashion. Post-coloniality is a desire. Anti-coloniality is a daily and permanent struggle." Work along the lines of decolonization has been gaining ground in the last decade. In fact, a quick search on ProQuest between January 1st, 2010 to April 1st, 2021 hit around 7,000 academic papers worldwide with this topic in the contents or title. Yesid, one of the authors of this essay reflection, visited La Paz in Bolivia in the summer of 2021 and had the chance to talk to community organizers and scholars, including the well-known Silvia Rivera Cusicanqui and Atahualpa Oviedo Freire.
They shared their concerns about the recent trend in whitened, westernized universities of engaging the colonial thought and research. We were not surprised to learn this, as we have been very critical of this trend in the academic and non-academic world.
We can see entrepreneurs trying to do their part to help, but what they do is the opposite, to harm and disinform. In an effort to do good, to revitalize and strengthen indigenous cultures, what they do is to contribute to the open quotation mark appropriation and commercialization of indigeneity, close quotation mark, further commodifying, hurting indigenous peoples by capitalizing on their cultural productions.
From the academic point of view, decolonization has been mobilized in different disciplines, namely language teaching, bilingual education, social work, public policy, anthropology, social sciences, among others. In order to make the case against this trend, we ask ourselves, why is decolonization as a concept and practice becoming a trend, a fashion in the Western world? Whose ends does it serve? We wonder what is and is not decolonization in general and in the academy in particular, or what happened to the ideas of returning the land to indigenous communities and acknowledging their sovereignty.
For some, decolonization is about dismantling the systems that we currently have and paying retribution to the indigenous peoples for the harm done in the past 500 years, as well as the ongoing processes of handing over the instruments of governance involving the bureaucratic, cultural, linguistic, technological, and psychological divesting of colonial power. However, as Stock and Wayne have observed, decolonization is not a staple to be put on other things to either improve society or to mean something else, as if these were synonyms of being feminist, anti-patriarchal, anti-state, anti-capitalist, anti-racist, anti-binary, and other anti-something practices to critique or subvert any colonial structure in contemporary societies.
Without falling into a binary trap, we encourage scholars and researchers to call processes by their name. If there is advocacy for gender equality, then one must label it as feminism, but not decolonization. We ask ourselves, if we critique the problems of naming anything decolonizing, then the remaining question is, what alternatives should people use to naming decolonization? We argue that it is not a matter of what else to choose or what label to affix, but more about actively working towards dismantling the current socioeconomic and political cultural structures that have been in place since colonization.
Indeed, we argue that no theoretical, epistemological, or empirical attempts for decolonization should be taken lightly, nor become the product of a trend whereby whitened scholars appropriate indigenous and Black people's knowledge, replacing indigenous and Black bodies in the academy.
The current problem is that scholars, academics, researchers, and even the market are taking the colonial processes as a fad without questioning or problematizing how sustainable these processes would be and how they would benefit or not indigenous communities or the most marginalized communities in society. Research projects are being drafted from the ivory towers of academic institutions for the sake of getting a few pennies, millions to boost researchers' egos. But they never question what they really do with this knowledge created. Some never set a foot on indigenous peoples nor have relationships with them, yet hope to get some money and help them for a specific period of time, do the research, publish, and put outcomes on shelves.
This is none other than the tokenistic ideologies of self-centered individuals who perform intellectual and epistemic extractivism for the sake of quote-unquote intellectual masturbation. Today, it's that decolonial wagon. What's next? Epistemologies of the South, epistemicide, el buen vivir, sentipensante, feminismos de adentro y del sur, epistemologies of las abuelas, Ubuntu futuribilities. What else is on the menu?
Some may claim that it's not a bad idea that these knowledges become available. But why? If, after all, Eurocentric knowledges have invaded us for 500 years. Is it time to really revitalize the knowledges of the South? If so, who is up for the task? Is it institutions from the North? The academy? Recently, scholars have been using ideas from the South to make Northern statements and manifestos that do not necessarily resonate with those in the global South. All of a sudden, these become a trend, as if they were not known before by its scholars from the South.
Finally, the South has been taken seriously. Just because the North has spoken, all of a sudden names such as Boaventura de Sousa Santos, Enrique Dussel, Ramón Grosfoguel, Silvia Rivera Cusicanqui, Walter Miñolo, Aníbal Quijano, Rita Laura Segato, Donaldo Macedo, Gayatri Chakraborty Spivak, and others have become famous while these have been rejected by the North in the past. Why this sudden change?
Well, in the end, we are not against decolonization or decolonial scholars. What we want is for others to problematize the cosmetic, superficial, and universalistic forms in which the concept has been taken lightly. In other words, we encourage folks to walk the talk, turn the tables, and before attempting to speak about decolonization, ask themselves, open quotes, how I am decolonizing myself, my being, my fellow logo verbocentric practices, and how I am contributing to emancipating dignification of indigenous peoples and others marginalized communities with my personal and professional actions, close quote.
This would be in contrast to the example we provided above, in which folks use the idea, concept, term, decolonization to make a profit while pretending they are actually helping. Some see decolonization as a global revolution and others as local empowerment to support indigenous peoples and their communities. Like us, some others have already questioned the global movement of decolonization. So, in the end, it's not about being against, but rather of coming to terms with what needs to be done to truly decolonize. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. And I hope you have liked this video blog as well. So we will put in the actual blog post in the comments below or in the information box of this video. And we will continue these conversations with Andres and everybody. Feel free to make any comments on the section below as well, so we can expand and extend these conversations. Bye.